Hi, I'm Martin Jarvis, and once again I want to welcome you to another perspective. Today we're going to talk about death. I know that's kind of off, kind of morbid, huh? We're also going to talk about life. And these are two very real things to us. You know, we want to embrace life, that's what we do, and we try to live to the fullest, or so we think. And we fear death. We try to shy away from death. You know, for years now, maybe about a decade and a half, I've been taking care of myself, trying to maintain good health and be in good condition and all. But I want to say that it's not out of a fear of death. It's simply wanting to be the best that I can possibly be, you know. And still, given the fact that I'm human, you know, not totally perfect, but to do better than I would have, okay? And so again, none of this is from a fear of death, because death is simply a reality, a logical reality. And the same logic that moves me to take care of myself the best that I can is the same logic that speaks to me that death is just as real as life is, okay? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. See, there's a scripture in the Bible, 1 Thessalonians 4:13, which is Paul speaking to the church of Thessalonica, and he says to them, he says, I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that you sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. Okay, and that's what I want to talk about today. Now he went on to express a particular type of issue that the people in that church were having, because they were afraid that their loved ones had passed away before the rapture, and so they were going to be lost. They weren't going to make it. And so Paul was giving them a reassurance that they're okay. Okay. But what I want to share, I want to expand on what Paul was talking about. Even others which have no hope. It reaches further than this religious belief. It really reaches into most of our lives as human beings. We all have this fear of death. We all have this sorrow of death when our loved ones die. And so that's what we're going to talk about. You know, recently one of my brothers passed away. Okay, so I'm the youngest of 4 brothers, and this was the second oldest that passed away. And so to me, when I saw him laying there, having passed away, it struck me kind of, I don't want to say hard, but kind of personal. Because again, the logic of death is we're all going to die. And if you tack on 500 years to today, we're all pretty much going to die on the same day. It's really not that much of an issue if one of us lives 20, 30, or 50 years longer than the other. We're all going to die, okay? But when I was looking at him, I was realizing my own mortality, you know, for real, taking it personal. Because even up until that point, you know, for me, as much as I've talked about things and talked about death, you know, as well in this program, I talk about so many other things, good health and finances and relationships and education and all this good stuff. Those things are not theory to me, because these are the things that I've walked out. But as far as death goes, the logic of death was there. But in a sense, it was simply theory to me, okay? Now granted, both of my parents have passed away. My father quite some time ago, and my mother maybe 8 or so years ago. But for each of us as individuals, that is more or less the natural thing, that a parent would die first, okay? So as heartbreaking as that was when my parents left this earth, was the reality and the logic is that, you know, that is the proper thing, the way it's supposed to take place. The parents die first. But when I saw my brother lying there, it was different. See, we were a military family. And you know, I was born in Los Angeles, California. We moved from there to Europe, where my sister was born, you know, in Germany. We lived there for about 4.5 years, and we moved to Kansas, we moved to Maine, we came to Ohio. But it was like everywhere we moved, it was always us 7, okay? Well, our first movie was us 6, and then my sister was born, and then it was us 7. Then my brother joined the military, and then later my next brother joined the military, then later my next brother joined the military, then later I joined the military, then later my sister joined the military, you know. But it was just us. So we really didn't have cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents or any of that, because it was always just our family as a military family moving here and there. And that was the natural thing. We'd have birthday parties, and if we were in town, we'd all meet over at my parents' house and would celebrate birthdays there. Even when my father passed, we still celebrated at our house. It was always us. And even after my mother passed, my sister maintained her house. And so we all met there on our birthdays and Christmas as well. It was always just us. And even when my parents left, again, it was like that's the natural, progression of things. Parents die first, but when my brother was laying there, I was like, oh man, this is starting to get real. He's like 8 years older than me. What? Isn't that much further than me? I just turned 66. He was 74. And so that's a reality for us. And we're going to talk about that today. Because I believe that we're supposed to have a healthy view of death, as healthy as a view of life. And so that's what we're going to discuss today, because I think the problem is most of us don't really have a healthy view of life. And so then it's obvious, and it's not even unbelievable that we can't have a healthy view of death, okay? But because if we had a healthy view of life, we'd be taking care of ourselves. We wouldn't be out of shape. We wouldn't be obese. We wouldn't be diabetic. We wouldn't have high blood pressure, cholesterol, all this stuff that we have brought on ourselves because of our lifestyles, our eating habits, our sedentary lifestyle, and all that stuff. If we really had the proper view of life, we would be taking care of ourselves, and we would be in extremely good health. Okay. So if we can't even appreciate life in all its goodness and all its benefits, how then can we appreciate death, which is like totally unknown to us and all? Okay. And so that's what I want to share today. We need to start appreciating life, and maybe looking at things just slightly bit different than we have been. At my age, right, 66, I've been on my current job for the past 30 years with the government, with the Postal Service. And so many of my siblings and so many friends and family friends have strongly suggested that I should retire, or should I really be seriously considering retiring right now. And one particular family friend at a recent gathering got angry with me because I can't see retirement, in my near future. And no, you must retire, almost, I don't know. But I'm like, well, why should I retire? I feel good. I'm content. And what I'm believing is that my contentment emanates from within. I am content. And so no matter where I'd be working, no matter what I'd be doing, unless it was physically impossible, as long as I have a contentment within myself, I'm content wherever I am. And I think maybe that comes from my military background, from having to pick up and move even as a young child, to here, to there, and to everywhere, And then having joined the military myself, and going to Texas, and then picking up and going to Mississippi, and picking up and going to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, then picking up and going to Misawa Air Base in Japan. It's like you don't get that comfortable in a place that you can't totally adapt and be comfortable somewhere else. And maybe that's where I got that ability to be comfortable in myself regardless of the situations, regardless of the environments. You have to be content within yourself or it'll drive you crazy. And so that's what I'm suggesting today. One of the issues we have is that we're not content within ourselves, which is why I'm so adamant about, you need to retire. And where that adamancy come from an individual trying to convince me to retire because they believe they need to retire. Now, why does an individual believe that they need to retire? Because they're not happy where they are, and they believe that happiness will be met once they retire. But what I'm suggesting today, if you're not content within yourself, you might have in your mind convinced yourself that your unhappiness is because of the job that you're functioning in. But once you leave that job, if you're still not content within yourself, you're just going to find another reason not to be happy, not to be content, okay? And that's just not me. And so what I've seen then is I consider that why do folks retire anyway? Why did this concept of retirement pop up? Simply, because at one time there wasn't retirement. There wasn't a plan that your businesses offered. There wasn't a 401k. There weren't things that will sustain you, once you stopped working. So people worked as long as they could until they couldn't work anymore. And until it became physically impossible to work. And then if they had not done some creative saving and creative investing like most people couldn't do, At that point of stopping their function in work, they would become destitute. They would become poor. They wouldn't be okay. And so then it was the lucky man that just worked until he dropped dead because he never got to suffer without a paycheck, okay? So they came up with this thing called retirement, and that was good. Once you don't have to worry about the time when your body gives out and you can no longer work, okay? Right? But now what we've gotten kind of conditioned into, I'm going to put my 20 in and retire. I'm going to put my 30 in and retire. No matter if I could have continued doing the job or not. And in all honesty, in reality, many people can't continue to do the job, not simply because age has finally taken its toll, but because they've been living a lifestyle so destructive to their body, to their well-being, that they've jacked themselves up. They're tremendously overweight. They have diabetes. They're suffering from high blood pressure, cholesterol, heart issues, lung issues, all kinds of other issues, right? From lifestyle choices, okay? But what I'm suggesting is that if you take care of yourself, if you do the things that you're supposed to be doing, appreciate life for what life is supposed to be about, you'll live longer and you'll be healthy. And so what I'm suggesting is if you can't appreciate life in all its goodness for what it is and appreciate it, you're really not going to be thrilled with death because your life isn't even all that great, okay? I'm trying to correlate the two. It's very important. How you view life to me. I mean, we go through a lot of things in life, right? We go through a lot of good times. We go through hard times. We go through fun times. We go through sad times. We go through all kinds of emotions, all of the emotions we experience throughout our lives, okay? But if you want to have the last laugh, the key is to grow old and to be healthy, okay? Otherwise, the laugh is going to be on you. You're going to be old, and if you're fortunate enough, you're going to be old, you're going to be unhealthy, you're not going to be walking right, your knees are going to be jacked, your insides are going to be jacked, you're going to be taking medicines for high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, all the stuff that you're going through. Man, right now I just turned 66 in November of 2024, about a month ago. I don't take any medicine. I just eat healthy foods every day. That's my medicine. And so right now I'm healthy. I have aches and pains. Sometimes my elbow hurts, sometimes my arm hurts, my neck hurts. Fortunately, they don't hurt all at the same time. And it's just, the frame is getting older and the muscles are getting older. But as far as my internal organs and the function and all that, I'm okay because I've been living healthy. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't eat unhealthy. I eat healthy, very healthy, at least 5 or 6 days a week. And then on that last day and a half, I eat whatever I want to eat, man. So to relieve the pressure, okay? Because we don't want emotional pressure either. But just take care of yourself, okay? Now, if you've been watching my programs over the years, I'm working on my 20th year now on the air. But if you've been watching my programs, I have a 5 or 6 point plan in order to be healthy, in order to be well. And so this simply isn't the physical. This is in life, okay? It's like quit doing drugs, quit drinking, okay? Don't break any kind of laws, right? Get educated, stay healthy, eat right, do all that good stuff, and be armed, legally armed, okay? And you'll take care of yourself. I use that in my urban program, especially. I'm using my spiritual program as well. Holistic living is not just varying types of food that you eat. Eat the red foods, the yellow food, the green foods, and make sure you have all the different kind of color foods on your plate. No, holistic living is every aspect of life, including your finances. That's holistic living. Holistic living, whole living, holistic living. And see, what we do is we focus on 1 or 2 of those things. And we neglect the rest. Don't do that. Because what we're trying to do right now, what I'm suggesting is it's very difficult to, I don't want to say to welcome death, but not to be afraid of death, not to be sorrowful of death, if we haven't the proper attitude toward life. I mean, if life is unhealthy, if life is uncomfortable, if life is sickly and depressing and jacked up, well, what's death going to be? Something worse, right? Gosh, no. So really, I believe, and what I'm sharing with you today is that you have control over the way you look at death. And the way that you look at death is going to be similar to the way you look at life. You look at life in an embracing way, in a nurturing way, that you're going to take care of yourself in every kind of way, even financially. So it's all, investing is a good word, because investing just doesn't have to do with money. Investing has to do with your health. Investing has to do with your finances. Investing has to do with your relationships. Investing has to do with your education. Investing has to do with your health. Has to do with every tangible and intangible reality of your life. Has to do with investing. What are you putting into it? What you put into it is what you're going to receive. Too often we put in the negatives, and that's what we receive. But look at every aspect of life and begin to do positive and receive positive. Your attitudes on life will change. And it's important, because one of the investments that we must make is into the generations that are coming after us. That's an investment. Man, my son is 30 years old. My daughter is 19 and a half. She's in college. He's graduated from college some time ago, doing his thing in life. So I was 30 years old when my son was born. And I was 47 years old when my daughter was born. But you know, being old, now that my daughter is almost 20 and my son is almost like 36, I'm still just as old as I was to them when they were born as I am to them now. And so now my son is about to be 36. Well, I'm 66, okay? My daughter is 19 and I'm 47. I mean, not 47, I wish I were. No, she's 19, and now I'm 66. So I'm just as old as I was when they came into the world. So I should, if we progress as we should, we should still be able to impart wisdom, knowledge, insight, and understanding into their lives, okay? Now what prevents us from investing insight, wisdom, and understanding into our lives? How much or how little we have invested in ourselves. We should be growing at a comparable rate that they are growing. So there should always be something for us as parents to impart into our children, okay? Even if it's simply from experience. Now as many of you know, I started school when I was 50 years old for my associate degree, and then I earned my bachelor's degree, then I earned my MBA when I was 60. So that means then when I was, my son was 20 when I started school to get that associate degree. My daughter was 3 when I started school to get that associate degree. So my son earned his bachelor's degree the same year I earned my associate degree. And my daughter being 3, she just watched me for the next 10 years up till she was 13, studying every day. Man, I went to school every quarter for 10 years. I missed half a quarter in 10 years. That was it. So she got to watch me. I got to be the influence in her of how important education is. And not only that, I got to help her with her homework. By the time I was studying college algebra for my associate degree, that was about where she was in school in the 6th or 7th grade. So it was all fresh to me, okay? Always ready to impart. Even now, my son with insight as far as maybe investing and this and that. Now, my son has real world knowledge and experiences that I never had, simply because he's a professional in this modern world. I mean, I don't even know what it's like to interview a job over the internet, right? I don't know what it's like even to do a remote job and get paid real large sums of money, you know. You come in, you know, with your resume, you interview, come back for the second interview, and then you got the job. So there are so many things going on today that he has knowledge and insight of that I don't have, but still there is some wisdom, some understanding, some insight that maybe wasn't relevant to his life before he was as old as he is right now at this moment. And the same with my daughter, always having stuff to impart into her life that's going to help her be better. But guess what would subvert that ability to impart wisdom, insight, knowledge into my children's life, even now as they're getting older? Not being sober, getting that buzz, being high. What are you doing? I mean, when you're doing that, because I remember back in the day, I mean, I stopped doing all that when I was 28 years old. But I mean, come on now, from the time of preparing the buzz, say you're rolling a joint or something, and then the getting high, okay, and then being high, okay, and then coming down, and then falling asleep, man, that's a lot of hours of in a place where you're not able to impart wellness or insight or understanding to the life of your children. And then you compound that with your job. Man, you have very few hours really to be interacting with your child. So part of that investing in your child, even as they grow older, you have to be sober. And so that's what I'm always sharing with you. We need to stop doing the drugs, stop doing the alcohol. There's no time for that. Now, when I share that in my urban program simply to the black community, is because we're still at war. You know, there's no time for partying when you're at war. But I mean, from a regular, secular, and even spiritual perspective, we must be sober-minded in order to be effective in the things that we're putting our hands to do. And so what I'm sharing is, and when we're sober-minded, we can be imparting that into the lives of our children as well. And so this is like the legacy. We hear about legacies. What are we going to leave our kids? What are we going to leave our kids? Oh, this is a legacy. An ability to see properly. An ability to embrace all that you can out of life. You know, there's this game, one of the early video games called Minecraft. I really never got it. It didn't even look right, but my daughter used to play it all the time. And so, of course, she was showing me some things, and I was learning this and that, but I just never could get into it. But a concept of that game of Minecraft, which I really appreciated, was that you go throughout your journey, and there would be tools, and there'd be things that you could grab and you can appropriate. And then later on down the game, you find there was going to be a time when you needed that thing that you picked up, okay? And so that's what I was even sharing with my daughter, even now a sophomore in college in another state. I was reminding her of that Minecraft game and how she needs to take advantage of every opportunity there is before her. You know, even if you don't see that you're going to be using it, if it's an opportunity and a certification or something that you can learn and grasp, go ahead, because you don't know what life is going to be down the road. Opportunities are going to be there simply because you grabbed this thing that was simply available. Like when I drove her car down to where she was in school a few months ago. And I met one of her friends. This guy, he was a freshman and he was an engineering student. Young black kid. And I was really impressed with this HBCU because we're inundated so much with all these negativities about our black youth. But to go to an HBCU and see thousands of educated black kids and then multiplying that by all the HBCUs there are and then adding to that all the black kids that are in colleges that aren't HBCUs. I mean, there are a lot of positive black kids out there, black young people, black young men and women that we're just not seeing, okay? This one man, he was an engineering student, freshman, and he had a FEMA certification that he got for whatever reason. You know, I don't even know. It was just so impressive to me how they are. And then I look at my daughter, the sophomore, how she's involved in all these organizations. They're all good organizations, helping the community, helping kids, building this and doing all these good things, planting these type things. Plus she's in this fraternity for law, you know, students, which is what she is. And I say fraternity and she's a female because this particular organization was formed before females were allowed in it, and so now females are part of this organization and it's still called a fraternity, just so you know. But anyway, what I said with her, I said, look at the stuff that you're all a part of right now as a sophomore. Did you have any idea that this is what you were going to be doing when you were a freshman? She said, no. I said, well, guess what? When you're a junior and when you're a senior, you're going to be doing things then that you have no idea right now that you're going to be a part of. So any opportunity that comes by for a certification or an insight, understanding, or, you know, learning or knowledge or whatever, just grasp it. Because the more knowledge you have, the more insight, understanding you have, the more doors you're going to open in your future. And I share with this one thing. This is one of the things I believe that gets us down so much. Is that we take shortcuts. Because we don't want to spend that much time doing something. And you say, where's this going, Martin? What I'm suggesting is, as you begin to make the fullness out of your life, you're not going to be dreading the next phase of existence so much. Okay? So you have to make your life full. And so what I shared with her as well is when I was in the military. And so I joined when I was 17. And I had a high school sweetheart, a girlfriend back home. And And so when I went to the recruiter, I could have picked based on my test scores, I could have picked just about any field that I wanted to be a part of. Okay, anything, air traffic controllers, and just anything you could think of. And like my sister picked medic. She was a medic, and she progressed well as a medic. Okay, and now she's a PhD, not in medicine, but I'm just saying it gave her a positive mindset of progression. But anyway, I could have picked anything, but you know how I picked the field that I wanted to be a part of? I picked the one with the least amount of weeks as training school. 6 weeks, just so I could get home. Because 12 weeks or 24 weeks, it just seemed too long. Now think of it in your life right now, however old you are. Is 12 weeks really all that long? Is 24 weeks really all that long? But to me then as a 17-year-old, it seemed like forever. But in retrospect, when I look back at that time, it would have been nothing. And it would change the whole trajectory of my life. And so I was sharing with her, you know, you're going to law school after you graduate. So that might take a couple more years. Don't get discouraged. Don't get anxious. Because when you hit 40 years old and 50 years old and 60-year-old, that extra 2 or 3 years was nothing. And as a matter of fact, you probably enjoyed it and made good friends. So I'm just suggesting if you want to make the fullest of your life, you have to take advantage of the opportunities before you. And if you got that buzz, it isn't working. To me, the alcohol, the drugs, and all that, save that till when you're done. And maybe when you're done, you're not going to feel like doing it. Look, I don't drink or smoke. Now I have to admit that on New Year's, sometimes I have champagne. I didn't for the past New Year's, 2 New Years. Not because I was determined not to. I just had a Sprite instead, and it was fine. So all I'm suggesting is that we need to make the fullness out of our lives and as well begin imparting this wisdom into our children's lives, and we can't if we're buzzed. We have to make the sacrifices. And once you're living a full life, then and you begin to get older, you'll contemplate death. You'll contemplate the next phase. But it won't be that daunting. It won't be that scary. It won't be that negative as we look at death in a proper way. And it's easier when you're happy and healthy and lived a long, fulfilling life. Okay. So it's very important because that's what we're demonstrating before our kids. We're demonstrating before our kids all of our lives how to live. And sometimes it's not good, and we see that reflected in their lives. But if we can become intentional and recognize that we're investing in our children even in the early years, that we are being the example that we would want them to become, then later in life, when it comes their twilight, they will have learned from us exactly how to embrace the transition to the next side. And the only reason it's scary, the only reason it is daunting, is because it's unknown. But think about birth. Remember? No. But consider this. So you're a fetus, right? And you're floating around inside your mother. You don't know you're floating around. You're just existing, right? And it's dark, but you don't know it's dark because this is all you've known. This is it. This is existence to you, even though you're not cognizant even of the term existence, even the cognizant that you are existing, but you are. In retrospect, think about this. And then all of a sudden you burst into the light. And for some of you, there was some guy there to smack you. And they cut a piece of you off. I mean, come on. A lot of stuff went down. But the world that you burst into was totally unknown, totally unfamiliar. Especially because all you knew was what you knew. And what I'm suggesting today is that's what we're in right now. We're just getting ready to enter the third phase. But see, this is all we know. See the issue, the negativity that we have now that we didn't have when we were a fetus is that the fetus was not cognizant of anything. And so it just was there into the light, into this existence, and that was it. And then all the transitions from being an infant all the way throughout life, all those transitions, man. I'm saying is that when we leave this particular form of existence, all we're doing is crossing into the next realm. And some folks will say, that's just dead. There's just nothing. Well, where did they get that from? Just made it up. Just assumed that. Because there can be nothing more than this. But there was something more than that when they're the fetus. And I'm simply suggesting that there was another phase that really, oh man, this is wild, but that really in this form of existence that we think is everything, we are really the fetus as it pertains to the next phase of our existence that we will be birthed into through the death of this existence. See that fetus, that whole existence died. It was no longer relevant, no longer existed. It was here now. And there comes a time when we will make that same transition. And I'm just suggesting, I think the best reason to be sober-minded is so we can give this peace of mind to our children. And just do all you can to make this piece of their existence well and healthy. Maybe something that we didn't have, something I'm giving you right now, a peace of mind, a goodness, another perspective to consider on existence. That you make the most of this part of your life. Now imagine that fetus. So sometimes the fetus comes into this world unhealthy. Sometimes because of the lack of nutrition, or the lifestyle of the mother, or traumatic injury, or whatever. A fetus will leave that existence and come here all kind of jacked up. Simply because of an unhealthy environment it came from. What I'm suggesting is, I don't know if it'd be all like that, but who really knows, All I'm suggesting is take care of yourself the best that you can so that when you transition over, it'll be a healthy move and you've left an example, a legacy to your children on not only how to die, how to transition, but how to live. I don't even think dying is a good word, because dying gives the idea of it just being over, but there is a transition. There may be a death to this existence as there was a death to the fetal existence. As there was a death maybe to the zygote, to the sperm existence when it became the zygote. There's a death to death is always to the previous existence. And here we are. And when we lay these bodies down, I don't know what it's going to be, but I believe it's going to be great. I believe it's going to be glorious. I believe we're going to be so, I don't know if we're even going to be amazed, because I don't know if we'll be cognizant of this particular piece of existence, but maybe we will. Maybe we will. Because doctors have shown that the fetus maintains memories of certain things, of certain sounds, of certain experiences. When they come into this, I don't believe they're cognizant of it, but there are natural reactions to certain stimulus based on what may have been experienced while they were in the womb. But who knows, man? All I'm suggesting is just live your life to the best that you can, and you will not fear death. And your loved ones will not fear it either. You'll impart into them just how to go. And so again, I came up with this program today simply because of my brother passing, about a month or so ago. And the reality, of passing, of mortality to me became more clear. But still, I'm still on this same path of insight and belief that I am well. And as I am well here, I will be well there. I may not be looking like this, but somehow, some way, there is a transition, I believe, of life to life. So maybe I should stop calling it death. Just like the fetus, the fetal environment. Maybe stop calling that environment that was left behind death. Why don't we just say life to life? How's that? I hope you can take comfort in these words. Do what you can to make your life better. Make all the right moves. Get yourself healthy. Get yourself educated. Get yourself financially well. Get yourself out of the reach of negativity, the police, or even the doctors and the hospitals and all that. Do all that you can to make yourself well, to make yourself comfortable. Man, this life is short. Not as short as the fetal life was, but it's short. And probably way shorter than the next transition of life will be. But make it the best you can be. Show yourself worthy of this gift that we've been given of life, to do your best to take care of it, man. How's that? When I started determining what this program was going to be about, I really didn't have an ending. I really didn't have a goal. I just wanted to touch on a whole bunch of things to say, you're okay here. The passing to the next existence is okay. But if you want to make it more okay, more easily to accept and to grasp, take care of yourself to the best of your ability that you can right now. And you'll be okay. And you'll be ready to go. And you'll leave a legacy for your kids, man. You'll leave them content. You'll leave them educated. You'll leave them with knowledge. You'll leave them with money. And I believe everything's going to be all right. So if you leave before me, I'm on my way. We all are. Well, anyway, I do want to thank you once again for listening. And I want to invite you to listen again. You take care. Bye.